Hello, I'm Claire Woofenden at the Fintech Times. We're here today at the MoneyLive Summit 2023 in London, and I'm pleased this afternoon to be joined by Kirit Bhatia from Ripple. Hello, how are you?
Hi Claire, pleasure meeting you.
Before we start our chat today, could you first introduce yourself to our audience and tell them a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hi everyone, I'm Kirit Bhatia. I have the great pleasure of running business development for Ripple across Europe, Middle East, Africa and Asia Pacific. I've been with Ripple 4 years now. Most of my time I've spent in Asia, and for the last 6 months I've been here in London. Prior to that, I spent most of my career in banking, over 15 years, and have been with Ripple for 4 years.
Fantastic. Well, let's start our conversation looking back last year. It wasn't a great year for crypto. A lot of volatility in the market, a lot of kind of negative headlines. What can we do this year to restore trust?
Yeah, so first things first, it is super frustrating to have a handful of players, really fraudsters, disrupt the market in the way that we saw happen in 2022. It's really important to understand that that is fraud, and it has really nothing to do with the underlying technology, its potential, and companies like us that are building real world solutions to real world problems. So I think this year is really about focusing on that, educating regulators, the wider market, on the difference between bad actors and companies like ourselves.
Talking of Ripple, obviously had a successful year. What do you think you're doing right in the market?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I guess we've been around for 10 years, right? And so we've seen multiple cycles of ups and downs, occasionally called crypto winters. And the company has been super focused, as I've said before, in solving real world problems and real world issues. We started off solving the cross-border payments pain points around cost, transparency, speed. We've done that really, really well. And over the last few years have scaled across 40 countries, hundreds of customers across countries. And this year we'll process close to 20 billion in value, which is tremendous. We continue to do that, right? Our focus is to build solutions that solve problems, whether it's crypto liquidity, helping central banks launch CBDCs, tokenizing carbon credits so that market can operate efficiently, or indeed this year, focus on tokenizing other real world financial assets and solve the frictions that exist in those industries.
Yeah, more and more companies are integrating crypto into their operations. What kind of real world benefits, helping vulnerable people or tackling other problems? What is the benefit of that?
Yeah. So earlier today, I was on a panel where they were talking about how cross-border payments can shave off 6, 7, 8, sometimes double-digit percentages on a transaction. As I was saying earlier, I've been in Asia for 11 years, and a lot of workers, hard workers, send money home, right? Hundreds of dollars, which is a meaningful sum. When you start shaving off 5, 6, 7% of that payment transaction from their wages, from their hard-earned wages, that's a significant problem to solve. And so, these are real issues. These are unbanked issues that are unbanked, social inclusion, and the value you save them when they're sending money home.
You mentioned obviously that there is bad actors in the industry that are probably giving the bad name. How important is it for companies to engage with regulators and to embrace regulation more?
Yeah, from the outset, we are big, huge advocates of engaging with regulators. Our modus operandi is to engage with regulators whenever we're building solutions or looking to roll out crypto-based offerings in different countries. Firstly, we make sure the landscape is clear. We speak to the regulators and we make this happen. When we look around the world, we see, I guess, 3 flavors of regulators. One is those that are deeply engaged through consultation papers, through providing sandbox environments to really allow the innovation to flourish. Then we see regulators that are pretty clear, right? Now's not the right time, and you can put those countries in a box and work through that. And then you see regulators that are just just complicated, right? It's opaque, it's unclear what you're supposed to do, and they're super helpful, right? So for us, the regulatory engagement piece is really important because the clarity provides the foundation for us to really build and scale with confidence, and likewise for our customers.
You mentioned you've been based over in Asia for a long time. What lessons can we learn from what you've experienced from over there? What are they getting right?
Yeah, it's a great question, right? Because you're right. When you look at Asia, when you look at Singapore, Australia, Japan, Philippines, the list goes on. If you look at Korea right now with consultation papers, they've been very, very open to exploring, learning about new technology, trying to understand how they can benefit their consumer base, their economies, and I think that is a major learning for this region as I've been here 6-7 months. And there is engagement, don't get me wrong, we see that. You see that UK is aiming to be a crypto hub. You've got EU regulation in MiCA coming through, which is terrific and that's positive. I think when it comes to speed of adoption, maybe some of the Asian countries are not as bogged down by legacy infrastructure that allows them to move at a much faster pace than we see in this part of the world.
Right, well, obviously we're here at MoneyLive. It's about setting the future agenda for banking and payments. What's next on the agenda for Ripple? What can we expect from the year ahead?
Yeah, so we're really proud of what we've done on the payments front over the last 3 or 4 years. So from a standing start, last year we processed 10 billion transactions. Our reach is into 40 different countries for crypto-based payments. We have hundreds of customers around 55 countries, and this year we're on track to double that, right? So we feel we have a really solid grip on the cross-border payment problem. Our focus this year is to continue to build enterprise solutions across CBDCs, environmental assets, tokenizing other real-world assets. They have huge amounts of friction in them, and accessing crypto liquidity and what we call fiat on-off ramps, which again are verticals. Each one of them has unique friction points. So for us, it's what I said earlier, it's continue to focus on real issues, real problems, and how this technology can help solve those problems.
That's fantastic, thank you. Well, thank you for joining us today, and I hope you enjoy the rest of the summit.
Thank you for having me.